As time moves forward, things that were fresh and new at one period can fall out of fashion the next. With games, there's often a direct relationship to technological advancements that marks a transition from popular to passé. It could be argued, for instance, that the concept of the high score lost relevancy as the growing console market shrank arcades out of existence, taking the nomenclature with it. Even now, with this current generation of consoles, we can mourn the loss of something as stalwart as the start button. Of course, the opposite is true as well. There are things that simply just work. It's why RPG leveling progression is, like it or not, leaking into almost every other game genre.
Ghosts also give you defense, which is contributing to your light. They give you intellect, strength, discipline as well.
Jumping Flash came out right when consoles were making their way to 3D. This was 1995, and Mario 64, arguably the first to get 3D platforming right, wouldn't be out for another year. Jumping Flash has a creative approach to platforming in a 3D world. If it wasn't made clear by the title, the game is driven by the jumping mechanic. As a robotic rabbit named Robbit, you take giant leaps and bounds across each level's landscape. Collect all 4 jet pods in a level and move to the next as you work your way towards defeating the game's antagonist, who has ripped chunks out of your world to create a floating resort in space. It's hard not to find something liberating about being so spring-loaded you can jump to the top of a skyscraper in a single bound. The game also cleverly avoids the issue of invisible walls, which still plague modern games, by marooning you on a tiny planetoid whose edges spell death. But where Jumping Flash works with its sensation of aerial feats, it also shows its age in other aspects. The controls are awkward. We're talking 1995, and the DualShock wouldn't come around until the end of 97. Forward and backward movement are locked to the D-pad. You can only turn when going forward, which makes backing up when you land on the edge of a ledge cumbersome. Also, looking up and down is curiously tied to the right trigger. You have to hold it down and use the up and down D-pad to look in those directions. The design choice means that you can't look around and move at the same time. The game attempts to solve this problem of looking by making the camera point down whenever you jump, but it feels like a solution to the problem the game's own controls introduce. The issues with looking are especially noticeable on the few stages that don't emphasize jumping and instead place you in a dungeon-like environment where obstacle avoidance becomes key. A map is thrown in on each level to make scanning the environment a little less necessary. With how hard it is to maneuver your vision, firing your weapon at enemies is almost pointless. Once more, another design choice is added to solve this problem: special weapons. Bottle rockets, Roman candles, cherry bombs, and spinners can unleash a torrent of annihilation. Special weapons more effective and so plentiful that they make attempting to stand still and aim at your enemies rather useless. That's not to say the game is all bad.
Ready to go?
The music by Takeo Miratsu is great. Levels are clean, colorful environments, avoiding the muddy brown graphics that painted other games from the same time. Exploring levels is a fun, albeit short experience with a total of only 18 levels. Your first playthrough won't take more than 2 hours. The game offers its most challenging element in the form of bonus stages not required beyond collecting more power-ups and growing your score. There is a New Game Plus that shortens the length of time available per level and moves the location of jet pods. You can unlock a mode that lets you jump a ridiculous 6 times as well as run and power slam downwards. Why they didn't let you include the running and slam to begin with is a head scratcher, because by the time you get these moves, you've already completed the game. There are elements of an entire console that can qualitatively overshadow its library of games. The PlayStation's jaggy textures and tiny resolution make it less palatable to modern gamers' eyes over time. From a strictly polygonal perspective, it's like comparing an Atari 2600's 2D to a 16-bit console era's graphics. However, timeless games can still cut through these limitations and shine. Unfortunately for me, Jumping Flash just isn't one of those games. Video reviews for KriKit are made possible with your support on Patreon.